Hi, I'm Anne. I'm getting ready to hang Halo up here in the cedar so you can get a closer look. But first, let me take you quickly through the journey of finishing this quilt, and I'll share the lessons I learned and some tips. And if you've made Halo or are making it, I would love to hear about that in the comments. So please let me know what it's like for you. And stick around so that you can see what it looks like after I pull it out of the laundry. It hasn't been washed yet. Okay, so let's get started. At my last Halo check-in with you guys, I had 44 out of 72 blocks finished, and that left 28 to go. So I decided to get all the cutting out of the way first. That was my least favorite part of doing this particular quilt. Then I laid all my blocks out on the other design wall just to make sure there was no duplicate fabrics because I was cutting multiple of many fabrics. I realized that there's two more template pieces and I totally forgot about these. So in the outside edges, these are low volume and they go like this so that you end up with complete circles all the way around the edges, which I really want to do that. I like that look. And to make sure that this will fit on the long arm after I add those edges, I'm going to go down to 7 blocks wide by 8 deep. So I'm going to take one off the width and one off the depth. Let's get started. And so that only left 12 blocks to finish the inside at the top then. So I finished those and then I rearranged the pieces and parts that were out on the other design wall so that they were ready to do the outer blocks. And I decided rather than doing chain piecing, which just would have sent me right off the edge, I instead attacked the top of the quilt in chunks. And that way I was getting to do some cutting, some piecing, and some putting together of blocks and putting them up on the wall in chunks like that. It really helped me get to the end of finishing that top without losing my mind. So I took the top out to press it really well, to clip off the threads, and this is a good time to just really scrutinize your quilt top to make sure the seams aren't coming open or something doesn't need to be fixed. And something I've noticed pretty much with every quilt I've made is that I always have a few seams that are coming open to the point where I have to go fix them. And that doesn't seem fair because I use a 1.8 stitch length. And I think the reason is because I trim my blocks down, and anytime you cut the end of a seam, it's going to come open pretty easily. So from now on, I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and end of my seams. So Halo is on the long arm. I am not sure what pattern I'm going to stitch on her yet, but I will bring you over here to the screen so you can see the ones I'm browsing through. And if I can't find something here, I'll just buy something online. They're pretty cheap. The Pro Stitcher library comes loaded with a bunch of block designs and continuous line designs, and I was browsing the continuous line where the design repeats all the way across in rows. And there's a few I liked. So this is a tool that sometimes I use to test out a design on my actual quilt top. It's a big piece of acrylic that comes with some dry erase pens. I'll put a link to this in the description below in case you're interested. So it's a really great way to not only test out designs, but also the scale of the design on your top. So this is the design I settled on. It's called Daisy Chain, and it just played so well with the halo circles. It's kind of got a 60s flower power vibe to it. I just really liked it. I had to play with the scale quite a bit. I was a little concerned with that. I did get it fairly small. I felt like if it was too big, you wouldn't even be able to tell what it was really. So I figured, well, I'll just get it going, did the best I could. And if the first 4 inches or so I don't like the scale, I can pick it out and fix that. Comes a flower. Let's see how the scale is. Yay, I like it. What? Oh, it's a leaf. Okay. Got to spend the first half a row panicking, you know. So it took about 2 days to quilt this top. And the reason was because these rows are really not very tall, less than 4 inches. So there was 25 rows. And at the end of each row, you have to cut the thread, take the head back to the beginning and start the next row. And my machine, I don't think, has an alarm. So sometimes I would forget. And besides that, these machines are glitchy as heck. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. I kind of don't think so. There's a lot of crashes. There's times when you have to reposition things. And then when you advance the quilt, at least on mine, the drag and drop doesn't work. So I have to actually manually reposition that design back where it goes every time I advance a quilt. So anyway, it took a while. So this is the binding that I chose for Halo, and I think it's absolutely perfect in every way. It's soft and it matches, and I love a stripe binding. So time to take the quilt off the frame, and oh my goodness, the back of this quilt looks gorgeous. It's a thrift store sheet I bought for almost nothing, and this design just turned the back of this quilt into a work of art. I am so happy with it. So I planned out my cut line really well. I drew it out with a heat erase pen, and I had to make some compromises, but I used this tool I got at the hardware store. It's called a laser square. It shoots a 90-degree angle out there for you as far as the eye can see practically. And so it just does what a ruler can't reach. And it worked out really well in the end. It was maybe a ½ inch off from one end to the other on one side and a ¼ inch on the other. I'm totally fine with that, and no one's ever going to know. So the binding on this quilt, I cut it at 2½ inches. This time I did a brand new binding method I've never done before. It's a machine binding method, and I've seen it before, but it always looked a little daunting. Recently, I saw Donna Jordan demonstrate it in a video, and of course, she makes everything look easy, but she just demonstrated it so well that it really was easy. And it's a machine binding method that will doesn't give you that stitch line around the perimeter of the back of your quilt. And what you do is you start stitching on the front of your quilt and then pull it around to the back as if you're going to hand stitch it. But instead, you press it really well, you clip it really well around to the back, and then you stitch on the front again. You stitch in the ditch where that binding meets your quilt, and it will catch the back. You just have to plan your seam allowance really well on the front. I usually increase my stitch length to a 4 and just do some basting tests to make sure that the back of my binding is going to hit right under that stitch in the ditch area. Her kidnapped husband, Jane, must raise $80 million. Eduardo has been locked in a box for 100. Okay, it's time to throw it through the laundry and see what it looks like when it's done. And I'm going to put 3 of these in with it, color catchers, just to, I think it'll be fine, but you know, never be too careful. So, just use this free and clear gentle stuff. I'm not super delicate with my quilts, so I apologize if anyone's out there cringing. And here we go. So here's the color catchers. Not bad, a little dingy, but I'm sure the quilt's fine. Oh no! Just kidding. Let's go get a closer look. Okay, post wash. Not too much crinkle, which I'm kind of glad about. I didn't want this design to get lost, but just enough. And I'll tell you what, this quilt is already so drapey and soft. Some of these fabrics are really old, so I'm sure that's a good part of it. But yeah, a little bit of crinkle. And oh my gosh, these fussy cuts are so cute. They were so much fun. Little owls and hedgehogs and Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and these little houses. So cute. Yeah. Excited to put this on my bed, only I don't think I'm going to put it on my bed because my dog is a violent nest maker when he lays down, and I don't want him to tear this. So I may put this upstairs on the couch that he doesn't get on. So yeah. All right. And the finished size on that quilt is 83.5 by 74.5. So next coming up, it's gift season, which is my favorite time in the sewing room. I am so excited. And I have a lot of ideas. The first one will be box pouches. And this year I got some little D-rings and some little charms and jump rings and other hardware, swivels on D-rings, stuff like that. Because I would like to make some smaller pouches this year. This is a little bigger than what I wanted. It was just my first go at it. So I'd like to make some smaller ones, and then I'd like to make some tiny cute ones. Also, I was thinking some tiny zipper pouches, like jewelry size tiny. Just something useful so you can keep track of your tiny stuff that's in your purse or your bag. Besides those, tote bags. I would like to make some tote bags. I'd like to make canvas ones and ones out of upcycled jeans. And I have a lot of orphan blocks. I also have these 3-inch ones from the traditional quilt block series I would like to incorporate. And the other thing, so Becca has such a cool idea. You can buy these little clips for your seatbelt that'll kind of push them away a little bit from the buckle so that they kind of come outwards a little bit more than cutting into your neck. She figured out how to make a fabric one. So I think I would like to make some of those. I need one for my car. Ornaments. My daughter's Christmas tree has all handmade ornaments. And I saw the cutest little tote bag ornaments, maybe this big, that you can put money or candy or even like a little tiny teddy bear in them and hang them on the tree. I'm super excited to make those. They're going to be so cute. Yeah, that's all the ideas I have. It's so fun to just accomplish something in a short period of time. So I really wallow in that all through October, November, December. Yeah, if you have any gift ideas, please let me know. I'm open for any and all. And yeah, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.